Yeah, so today we're talking about going first. So, going first is just super advantageous, and this partially makes the game fun and unfun for various different reasons. So, for example, going first is so strong to the point where you could make the going second player not be able to play at all, so they can't do anything, right? My hand looks like this for whatever reason. Just I don't know what I'm playing, but uh, Rizbel the Summoner. I have three of these in my hand. Malaria Dream Defender. Oh, and what did I draw for a turn? Another Dream Defender quit here. What was me? I didn't get to do anything. And then meanwhile, my opponent, for example, is playing I don't know. Let's just say super heavy samurai, and they they normal summoned or not normal summoned. They scaled Wakushi, and now they have like 7 billion uh omni negates and whatever, right? And then they drop Maxi in the standby phase. Okay, so now I'm supposed to play into that, I guess, right? Well, I mean, my hand doesn't really do anything in that case, but yeah, it's the general idea here. So going first can be like that strong, and like even assuming you did open real cards, you wouldn't necessarily be able to play those cards either. Like I don't know, let's say we're playing Punk, sure, and then we just open all our Punk stuff. We can't really resolve anything. Probably it just yeah, it'll probably all just get negated. Good luck getting two like monsters on the board to make Zeus. But actually, even if you make Zeus, they can negate Zeus like 3 times anyway. So, but what's the point? Like, assuming you somehow, I guess you have downed, right? You downed Zeus. So, assuming they let you go that far, they still can negate your Zeus twice. Hmm. Well, that's not great, is it? Well, yeah. I guess that's kind of fine. It's whatever, you know. So, if that happens, right? And it gets to the point where if you think about the best possible going first, actually, you're actually not making an end board at all because why would you? Like, if we go for like just going first, you can win on the first turn in the game of Yu-Gi-Oh! This is completely doable. Just for example, let's say we have Exodia here. We have, let's say, a super consistent way to get all 5 pieces of Exodia. Let's just say this is the case, and we have all the pieces. We win, right? And then that's it. But like our opponent, of course, they could play stuff like I don't know, Dimension Shifter, Tord, Dimension Shifter. Then there is like Ash Blossom to hinder us some more, and depending on how we're getting the pieces of Exodia, Maxi, and they'll probably be able to Maxi draw into like an Imperm or an Ash or something that might stop our lines of play here, right? Or maybe a Bestial, for example, and they banish a piece of Exodia we need. Although there is like a way to recover a banished piece of Exodia. I don't remember exactly what it was, but just know that there is a way, and it's in the extra deck, which is annoying. But yeah, but maybe it does matter because you're not running that, but whatever. So there are ways to stop FTKs at least, right? So, what difference is there between this and, for example, Super Heavy Samurai? Well, here's a good starting point. We're not going to be able to really run non-engine in FTKs generally. It will just mostly be the FTK, unless we're talking about the broken ones, but we're not talking about those broken ones, alright? So, uh, like the Pen Magician FTK, that was just not fair at all because they can make like Apollosa or Baron before they commit to it. So yeah, good luck stopping that. But yeah, so long story short, that is why Starving Supreme King Starving Venom is now at 1. And I mean, since Instant Fusion is banned, we could technically get it back, right? Surely. Honestly, I don't think. I think the FTK is doable in a different way, but it would not take that many adjustments if I were to guess. So yeah, we could just FTK, but with super heavy samurai, for example, or like any other combo deck, just any combo deck in general, you can do your combo and you can run your hand traps. So we don't have room for hand traps in FTKs for the most part. So that's why FTKs, I guess, are not being run as much. But keeping in mind that this game is in Master Duel, we are playing best of one, and also not just best of one. Whoever goes first is decided by coin flip. So assuming you have a Giga consistent FTK, so probably not Exodia, right? So in case this is true, then you just win 50% of your time, and that is good enough, you know? So if you did play FTK, it's perfectly viable, perfectly like somewhat fair, because you can drop hand traps on it, you know? Cool. You hand trapped me. You sure showed me, boss. You got it. But yeah, this will just get you the win, I guess, potentially. Speaking of which, now that I think about it, because this card exists, that one FTK is technically back. Now that I think about it, but it's just no one has played it. Uh, so, hey fellas, who wants to go back to 13 extra deck cards? Well, if you know, you know. So yeah. So going first, right? You could just do an actual FTK and forget like just making your opponent have to be unable to play going on the second turn, right? And then killing them on turn three. That's typically how a lot of like game plans for going first go. So if you're able to make your end board, why settle for an end board? Why not just kill them on the spot? You know, there's some like merit to this, of course, but of course, if we're going second, I guess, right? Then we're left with like all these useless Exodia pieces that do nothing until it's our turn, right? So then we can just get FTK'd back. So the most degenerate Yu-Gi-Oh could possibly get is just TK Fest, where we're just FTKing each other, and we're just trying to FTK, and that's it, really. If you lose coin flip, you're getting FTK'd. If you win the coin flip, you are the one doing the FTKing. And you're just trying to figure out where your opponent's choke points are to see if it's actually a choke point or if they have an extender. So, I mean, honestly, that doesn't sound that bad, but you know, it could devolve into this, right? So, yeah, just in general, like going first is just this strong, and going second, you're in massive disadvantage. So, just for a peer going second deck, if you're running Raigekis and stuff like that, your hard counter is essentially just FTK decks, and you know, they have a place, in my opinion, because of how many strong going second cards we have in the game. Just uh relatively not even super consistent FTK is pretty fair game, even if it has decent consistency, like a 2 card FTK, but you have to run garnets and stuff, right? I think that's probably fair, right? Because if you hand trap that, you're good. But if you're playing a lot of going second cards, like Geki and stuff, and you made them go first, like, can you really complain that much? Like, you know, you could have been running like combo cards, like I don't know, whatever. Let's say Vanquish Soul, you could be running Rosin and stuff with like Maxi and Ash Blossom Joy Spring, Infinite Impermanence, whatever. You could have been doing that, but you were the one that chose to play like I don't know, Mikanko, Nurmon, whatever, and then your opponent just just drops an FTK on you. And I guess that also applies like for pretty well against control decks, which mostly have a bunch of like back row. They can get FTK'd pretty hard too. But I mean, going second against them, yeah, good luck FTKing through. I don't know, like uh, just lab, right? Yeah, yeah. Surely we can FTK through this hand ripping us twice, and then probably searching out Eradicator as well to just snap all of our spells. Everything you draw is now like they get hand knowledge, like insane amounts of hand knowledge. So yeah, the only thing you have left is your extra deck that they don't know, and the cards in your main deck. So it's cool, I guess, but not really. But you know that's how it goes. So yeah, you're just gonna get like obliterated by this, I guess. Well, but you know, I mean, while we're here, I might as well talk about it. I'm hoping Labyrinth cards get limited simply because, you know, like if they, I'm sure lab players don't super care, but if Lovely gets limited, I get 60 UR crafting points to play around with. Same with Big Welcome. That's it. Yep, that's all I want to say. Yeah, I didn't craft these or anything, I just randomly pulled these up. Please? Limit? Semi-limit? Ban? I mean, I would take it just because I don't play. And I would want the crafting points, that's about it. But getting sidetracked there for a second. Going first just has so much advantage. Like, if you hand loop your opponent, they're just down cards, and they have to play essentially 5 cards versus, well, not 5 cards even, right? They have to play like 4 cards versus 5 cards. And then there's also like just how many interactions you can put up and how many interactions like certain cards have. So they're starting to as well print like cards that just do more things in general. So at some point, we're going to have to look at just the tier limit cards by themselves and be like, this is actually fine because blank archetype does this and blank archetype does that. So you actually need the like these trigger effects on your tier cards to be able to even like play the game against them. Like even if you open stuff like evenly, Dark Ruler no more, you're going to still need like broken effects. So the point where every single like main deck monster you have has multiple effects and like floating effects. I think Unchained is probably kind of like that. So at some point we're going to look at these and uh decks might need to be like around this level to compete. So I guess that's about a bit of a power creep, but it is what it is. And we do get a lot of support for the older stuff, so they'll always at least be playable, even if they're not like uh, what you might call like competitive level. They'll still be fine, right? Like for example, Shirin actually has the equivalent of 3 effects. So special summon, just a card that special summons, right? This is already like a monster effect on its own. Like there are cards that just special summon themselves and do nothing more, right? And Sharon does this and then mills 3. So there are cards that do nothing but just mill 3. So Sharon does 2 things right there, as far as I'm concerned. And then number 3, this is a fusion summon card. So like with just I don't know, like let's say Fallen of Elbaz, all that does is fusion summon, right? So there are cards that I think a few cards that fusion summon, but they don't do anything else, right? Like let's say Necroslime, for example, in DD, right? And even if you do have like cards that do 2 things, it's usually only 1 or 2 cards that do this. But for Tearlament, every single card has the multiple effects, like just straight up. So yeah, that's I wouldn't necessarily call it cool, but that's for sure a thing, for sure. So yeah, we have Kikalos here. So this has also 3 effects. So uh, this is just add anything from the archetype, and then uh, Monster Reborn, and then mill 5. So yeah, well, Monster Reborn for the archetype, right? And you can also special summon the front hand if you want, you know. So just 3 effects on this, and then Rukalos, special summon itself back if it gets sent by effect, and also other aqua monsters you control cannot be destroyed by battle, as well as the negate special summon effect, 3 effects. So a lot of these cards are verging on 3 effects and not just 2, because there are cards that like do, for example, they have a special summon and then like, well, however they special summon doesn't really matter, and then they have like one effect. So these cards are all verging on like 3 effects, except for Rhino. Rhino, I guess, really only has 2 effects. Just uh, Foolish Burial and special summon itself from the graveyard. That's it. But I mean, it's Foolish Burial and then special summon itself. This is somehow like technically one of the weakest cards until they make Tier Limits Kashtira, but I mean this technically has 3 effects, right? Special summon from hand, just as quick effect, whatever. And then there's also Mill 3 and Mill 2 as 2 separate effects. So I mean it's relevant that they're 2 different effects to an extent, so yeah, that's great. And also this field spell. This searches a card, and then this gives your cards, specifically the fusion and tier limit monsters for some reason, 500 attack, okay. And then target 1 card on the field, destroy. This is literally 3 effects as well. And then we have tier limit Salik. This is 2 effects, so it's just negate, and then if this card is sent to the graveyard effect to add a tier limit card from your deck to the hand. Crime. This is 2 effects as well. And then Meta Noise. This also has 2 effects. And then there is Scream. This has 3 effects. This is just for the rest of your turn. All monsters your opponent controls loses 500 attack, and this isn't currently control for some reason. So cool. Like in tandem with this, this is just really annoying. So this is about like a 1k like attack disparity that you randomly suffer because of Scream and Brillarino, but whatever. But effect to add a trap from deck to hand as well. And then mill 3 every time a monster is normal or special summoned while there is a tier limit monster being controlled by whoever controls Scream, right? Whatever. So 3 effects essentially. So all of these cards essentially have 2 or 3 effects. Yeah, just alright, I guess. Even with like Tri Brigade, they consistently only had up to 2, I guess, right? But these effects were not like that bad in comparison to this, I guess, right? Because you're not literally generating free material from out of nowhere. Like with Fairjeet, you could special summon Fairjeet or like Bearbrum, whatever. You add 1 and then put 1 card back. So in terms of card advantage, you're not even really going plus here. And then aside from this, well, the banished material are just going to be banished, and they can be brought back by Revolt, but I mean, it balances out pretty well, so it's not like that unfair. But it is somewhat annoying that like all of their cards kind of have like floaty effects that do stuff, so that's a little annoying. But I mean, it stops because all of their like floaty effects are tied together, so like if I send Kit to the graveyard for my opponent, they'll send Nerval, and then Nerval will add a Tri Brigade, right? Like probably Karas. And then if we deal with Karas, it's over, right? So let's say we just have Destroy for removal, and these are not triggers, these are ignition effects. So we can just destroy them, but if we did the same thing with Tier, these are triggers, and not only are they triggers, they have another trigger if we remove them by effect, right? So the triggers on these are much worse to deal with than these, right? So just for example though, let's say we have, I don't know, Ash Blossom Joe Spring, but for some reason we're chain blocked or something, so we can't do anything about these guys. So, well, maybe we draw into Ash Blossom, actually, that makes sense. So let's say we have Sharon effect here, and then Sharon gets sent to the graveyard for whatever reason. We can then like Ash Kitkelos and stuff, but Kitkelos can just summon back like another tier, and then they're fine, right? They just mill like a bunch of cards and they're good, right? But like with Tri Brigade, if after they resolved, like, I don't know, Nerval, Kit, what do they have now? Like in the graveyard? Nothing. If they resolve one, they might as well have they will resolve pretty much both, right? And if you resolve Nerval, for example, and then you send Kit, who cares? This just sends a random card that doesn't really do anything, right? So yeah, this is perfectly fine, right? So yeah, what is there that we can do like about going first? I mean, as a player, there's not much we can do about this. But I mean, yeah, every single like archetype going forward is probably going to be going for eccentric right now. That's how I'm feeling. But because I don't think we've seen like any super good going second. Well, I mean, kind of, because I think Konami is somewhat aware, like because they did release Bestials, which actually helps with like going first issue a bit. So having like just in general, we're moving towards like engine that also works as hand traps. So they're not as good if you're running them as non-engine like hand traps, but this actually does increase the amount of interactions in the game overall. Like I think we're starting to get to the point where going first is not going to be just one player's turn anymore. It will be our turn. We will play together. So I mean, I don't know how I feel about this because the decks this hurts the most as of currently is just the older ones. But if we just get good support or maybe some good generics that pair well, I don't know how it would work because, like, for example, if we have good support for, I don't know, Magispectors, it could still also be good generic stuff that we could play with Bestials as well. So a bit of a double-edged sword. I don't know. Will we actually get to the point where we start needing to print going first cards and not just going second cards? Because mostly we're getting a lot more like going second cards than going first. So, I mean, we'll see, right? I do enjoy like going first a lot because there's just a lot you can do, right? And then having your opponent play through your interactions is also kind of fun. So just for example, though, let's say I do, I don't know, my Punk combo with the Punk World Legacy stuff. I mean, it was pretty interesting to see how different people played around that. And also, I don't know why, but I played the Aleister, the invoked ninja deck, and it was pretty interesting how like people played around Aleister or they didn't care about Aleister. It was pretty interesting, right? And that deck produced more playable hands than expected somehow. But yeah, overall going first, right? It's just going to be stronger than going second for now, but I don't know. That could change because there is the benefit of like maybe you can just lob your opponent with like a bunch of like hand traps that build you advantage and not just like trade and go even like Ash Blossom, right? So Bestial Magnema, for example, is crazy because this goes into so many points of interaction. So let's say we banish something vital for our opponent. So let's go, I don't know, Necro Slime, for example. So we'll grab Necro Slime here. Oh, Necro Slime. And then let's say chain one Necro Slime, chain two Magma, and there's something on the field. And this stops the play for whatever reason. So whatever that is. It doesn't really matter that much if it does or not. But Magma search, you probably won't be able to negate. So it's like Magma banishes this, so that's 1 point of interaction from Magma. Just we'll call it DD Crow for the time being, I guess. So we crow this guy, so that's cool. But this doesn't also mention the fact that you can't call by Visceral Magnemite, right? So that hurts. And then Visceral Magnemite effect to add a card. So then we'll add Lubellion. Okay, so then Lubellion can then add us Druisworm. So that banishes another one of our opponent's cards. So we'll chalk that up as 2 points of interaction. So all right, 2 points of interaction. Okay, so now maybe Magma is not on the field anymore. It doesn't really matter, honestly. So Bestial Lubellion effect to special summon itself by sending Druisworm now. So that is our 3rd point of interaction. Send a special summoned monster our opponent controls to the graveyard. 3 points of interaction. And then let's say Bestial Lubellion. Uh, Activating Granted Beast from our deck. Interaction number 4. In the main phase, we will destroy a card. At worst case scenario for our opponent, we still have Magnemite. So, 5. Because then the next turn on turn 3, we will destroy a card in the main phase. Cool. So this is 5 points of interaction off of one card. So I don't know. Let's just handcraft a bit of a hand here. You guys, just let's say we have Ash Blossom, and then I don't know, just whatever would be fine, I guess. Let's go with Vanquish Soul, sure. I don't know, like something like, I don't know, this. This would be fine, I guess. So let's do that, and let's throw in like, I don't know, Pantera or something. So let's say you just open this, right? And then you Magnemite for like 5 points of like different interactions. Like, is that not insane that this one card becomes 5? So this Ash Blossom Joy Spring is just 1 point of interaction. So just if we look at these two together, this is 6 points of interaction. Like, it almost sounds like dumb, right? And then, I mean, you draw for turn. Yay. So these cards are still in my hand, potentially, but this one might not be. So it's like 1, 2, 3, 4. I still have 4 cards in hand, despite doing like literally 6 points of interaction. So what? That just sounds a bit crazy, no? And we're probably going to get more cards like that because, I mean, I don't know how strong they will be, but we're starting to get like kind of hand trappy here. So with Rescue Ace, for example, we have like the Rescue Ace card summoning Fire Attacker. So it's not super bad yet with Rescue Ace, but I mean, they're 1 card away from being like this, you know? They could be this, you know? Like maybe it, like, instead we can, I don't know. Is this trigger? Do. During your main phase, you can add 1 Rescue Ace monster from your deck to hand. No. But imagine if this was a trigger and we could just special summon this, and then it just adds another dude to our hand. And then that dude just like, I don't know, it just pops a card or something. And then it, for some reason, like, we can then just search Turbulence off of Hydrant on the next turn. I guess that, like, as a separate effect, we just search this, and then this resolves, and then how many points of interaction would that make? And let's say it's just 1 card triggering, like, I don't know. Or is it quick back, tribute, special summon from your hand, airlifter, or impulse, right? Whatever. So let's say that's how it works, right? So this is not how it works, but we can pretend, okay? So impulse effect, because your opponent activated 1 monster effect, we summon like something similar to Rescue Ace Hydrant. This will search us a card, and then it pops 1, sends itself to the graveyard or something, and then we can banish it to search Turbulence, and then we also used, of course, Impulse already. So there's also the guy on the field, so that's 2 Rescue Ace monsters, and then boom, we can just link off whatever is on field, assuming we're allowed to link it off. And then boom, Turbulence, and then set 4. So that becomes 5 points of interaction, which is about equal to Magma, but like not even. This is still like a little bit worse than Magma to like an extent, but yeah. I guess this can probably also run over a guy being 3k 3k, so I mean I guess you have that going for you. Yeah, so what are you gonna do about this, right? Oh, right. This also has this effect, so it can also do a destroy, so maybe this is 6, 7 points of interaction or something close to that. Well, whatever. So yeah, going first. I don't know. Things could start getting out of hand pretty quick, so we'll just have to see where the game goes. I am curious to see like what direction Yu-Gi-Oh is headed right now. So I don't know. Either way, going second can kind of be a struggle, but if we print like too many insane going second cards, it becomes the reverse, and going first is now a struggle. But at the same time, it isn't because like with that Vanquish Soul stuff, of course, right? Uh, we are not affected by those bestials that much, right? And yeah, we can just full combo, I guess, right? And then we still have the bestials, so those going second cards that are insanely strong for going second, like that are hand traps, are of course like insanely strong on the second turn as well. So I don't know, mixed feelings on this, and yeah, uh, going first right now is still going to be strong, of course. So I guess we don't want the game to devolve into just FTKs. So yeah, I guess because these are also good going first, it's not that bad, and both players can technically play them, kind of, but not really ish, you know. So yeah, we'll see where the game goes, I guess. So yeah, that's all I got for you guys today, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye.